Today at Woodturning, we're going to play with some burls. I'm not sure which one yet, but we'll figure it out.
Tim's American Beauty was made by Robust Tools, America's premier lathe manufacturer. Quality hardened tool rests and live centers too. Robust. Built to turn wood. Enjoyed for a lifetime.
Easy Wood Tools, best in class carbide wood turning tools.
Thompson lathe tools, made by a wood turner, for wood turners.
You can tell I've had these stored for a while. Oh, much better looking at least. A little harder to breathe. I didn't do a prototype this time because it's hard to find any two burls that look alike, as you can tell from this. But the thing I want to do today is to do something a little different. We've made a burl bowl before where it was winged and everything, and the way we did it was in this orientation. This is where the bowl was. I want to do something completely different. I want the piece of wood to sit flat on the table and then have the bowl on the inside like this, so it looks like it's organic, like it's just going into the table. So looking at all my options here, this one right here is pretty close. Is beautiful, a lot of burl into it, a lot of eyes and stuff. However, this one has more of a neat shape to it, so I think I'm going to go with this one. I have a series of plastic discs that I made a while back. They go all the way up to like 14 inches. So I'm using an 8-incher here, and the whole idea is I want to figure out where I want the bowl part to be on this. I want to keep the high part, so that's kind of cool like that. So if I position it, I think about right there, that looks pretty good. I want to leave some edges and things, so I'm going to mark that right there is my center point. And that's where I want to drill with a Forstner bit a round circle, because we're going to hold this on with a worm screw, and I've got to make room for the jaws on the chuck to go inside. It'll all make sense when you see it. So I'll come over here. I'll move that thing out of the way. I'm going to put my goggles on. This is an almost impossible thing to clamp, so I'm going to try to hand hold it, be very, very careful with it. So I'm going to have to go slow when I make this cut in here, because it's going to want to turn this thing. So by putting it on my table, it's now flat already, so when I turn it around to make the bottom just perfectly flat, I'm not wasting very much wood. If you tried to do this by hand, you could be really crooked and mess things up. So let's see how this goes. If it moves, we'll get a clamp out. Yeah, we're going to get a clamp out. We'll pick this up in just a second. That looks a whole lot better. Let's try this now, the safe way. So gently go in. This is a big Forstner bit. So I take little bits at a time. And all I want is a flat surface. So you can already see the beauty of that burl coming out. So this is going to be the center of the bowl. Now it's taking a lot of wood, a big cut, so I got to go slower. Okay, there I have a perfectly flat surface. Now all I have to do is drill a hole here that will accept the worm screw. Well, we had to do a little bit of a modification because I wasn't thinking about it. I had to clear out some of the wood here, because when this screws into here and comes up to here, you have the outside of the chuck that's in the way. So let's see if I can get this to where Brian can get an angle. So now when this goes on here, the chuck is going to clear. You can see the higher part of the wood there. So now it's going to clear. This is really important so I can get this as flat as possible, and that way I don't waste any wood on the back side. So here we go. You also have, those jaws always have to bottom out. If they don't bottom out, you don't have a good safe hold. There we go. Oh, that is nice and tight, and that's pretty close. Look at that. That's pretty good. Okay, this looks a little dicey now because we're doing this a little bit off center, right? So check this out. Whoosh. That's coming out all by itself. And it's going to get really close to the camera for one thing, but it's way out here by itself. So I'm going to try an easy wood with a negative rake scraper just to slowly nibble away on this. The whole idea is to get your tool rest perpendicular, perfectly right angle to the lathe, and then you work your way across, and then we'll use a ruler to make sure we're really flat because we want the bottom absolutely flat. So Robust has a zero controller, so you can start at 0 when you turn this on and just slowly bring up the speed, because this is going to be out around. We want to go slow. Also, we don't want to just have things go crazy. So I'm going to turn this on. There we go. Going to put my mask down, build the speed up a little bit, see what happens here. That's pretty good. I'm getting a little bit of wobble now. That's probably as fast as I want to go. Just to get my feet wet, I'm going to come in here where I've got more solid wood and just barely do a touch. Because you're scraping an end grain here, and it can be a little bit iffy, but the fact that I have a negative rake scraper, it's going to help me a lot. But you cannot be aggressive, you got to take your time. As I come out here, I'm just feeling for the wood, because you can barely see it. So I'm just going to take little bits of wood off. So this is just an exercise in patience at this point. And I'm using my finger as a depth stop, just like I would if I was roughing out. And that's what's going to keep me straight. Woo, that's scary out there. So I'm going to work this down for a little while, and then we'll see where we're at. So this is where you hold your breath, out here on the very tip. But I've been working this for a bit, and you can see I switched to a round negative rake scraper. There's less tool coming in contact with the wood, so it makes it a little bit easier to control. And, okay. I've been holding my breath long enough. So let's see, I'll see how close I am. I'm putting a straight edge on here, and look at that, there's almost no gap. So I'm doing pretty good. I killed a little bit in here because the next step that we want to do is to put a recessed tenon in here to hold this. And so we'll just come up here, and I'm going to probably come in here with a bowl gouge for just a second. I got a Thompson bowl gouge, and I'm going to use this to whittle this out a bit. And so we're going to make about a 2.5 inch recess in here with a dovetail for the jaws to fit in there and hold this thing. Nothing hitting. Yep, we're good. Okay, cool. We're still going at a slow speed because it's out of round, so I just take my time on the cut. I only sanded this to 80 grit because it'd be a lot of work to polish it out, and it might show some flaws. So if you leave it at 80 grit and you put some oil over that, it's going to look beautiful. Anyway, this is the bottom. But there's our recess. It fits on here, and you can see it's a little bit loose, so I'm going to use the speed ring right here to get this tight. So that goes tight. The reason I'm using the speed ring is because you don't have a lot of room to get the Allen in there to get everything in place. So the speed ring helps out a lot, so I'm going to tighten that down. Got to adjust it a little bit more because it's hitting the wood. There we go. So now we're in there nice and tight on that, and you can see we're going to start hollowing out our bowl. Now this is going to be a lot of fun because again we're going to be cutting air, wood, air, wood, air, wood. I took my disc and put it up here, and this line right here, I don't want to go that way of it because if I go that way I'll ruin this neat feature here. So I'm going to take a bowl gouge and I'm going to turn the speed way down on this and bring it back up. See where we are, balance. It should be about the same as we were when we were the other way. I'm not going to get a lot of speed without wobble. So there we go. That's a little faster. Whoa, back down, back down, back down. Okay, so anyway, it's going to be ticky, ticky, ticky. We're just going to see what I can hit first. We'll just go in and start making a cut. There we go. I'm going to make sure I bring the handle into my side while it's out here flying when I'm first doing this. But the important thing is that as I bring it in, I can bring it into my side for a little bit of support. I got to have the bevel aiming the way I want it to go. And this is kind of a little bit of a guessing game because you can't see what you're doing, right? So occasionally, as you do this, you're going to want to be smart and just stop the lathe real quick and see how you're doing. So you can see we're chunking away there. So that's working pretty good. So once I start to get this into a bowl shape, we'll be able to have longer, smoother cuts, and we won't be tearing out any grain because we'll be making constant contact with the wood. Go back in there, I feel it, and I'm going to start again. Still kind of getting the bejesus beat out of me here because doing a little bit of air and stuff, but let's see where we are. So we've gone all the way down to here. We're starting to hit solid wood here, which is great. See a little tear out. I'll probably use one of the negative rake scrapers to clean that up in a minute. But there's our wormhole. And to tell you the truth, we can't go much deeper than about here. We're going to get into our recess. So it's just like sneaking up on a bead. We're going to sneak up on the bottom of this thing. I wish I could pick the speed up, but it's so out of round, it won't let me do it. But at least when I'm in the middle, it's nice smooth cutting. Now I'm coming back and I'm just cleaning up my cuts using a big old negative rake scraper. There's a lot of weight to this, so it really helps me get rid of that bounce, because the bounce is from cutting the air and cutting the wood, so it wants to not be a level surface when you're cutting with a tool. And so I'll show you what I've got left to do. So see, I'm smoothing that out really nicely, but you can see the marks here left by the heel of the bowl gouge as I came in. So I'm just cleaning all this up, and then it's on to sanding. Okay, we're ready to sand, and I'm going to use my angled grinder, drill, whatever, with sandpaper on here. I'm going to start 80 grit, work our way through that. We're going to probably go up to 240, maybe even 320 on this. It's really looking cool. So get some breathing protection on, and have at it. Okay, again, we're not spinning this, we're spinning this. Okay, we are now doing the fun part and putting some Watco Danish oil on here. I'm using actually cloth this time. You almost always see me use paper towels, but paper towels will stick into the grain a lot harder than this cloth will. So I can always get the cloth fibers out again when I need to. The paper would stick in there, and what I'm talking about is on this side. How cool are we here? I'm going to finish on this all the way by blotting it like so. Now Brian and I have been thinking about this and talking about this for quite a bit about what are we going to call this project. I mean, it's Burl and it's a bowl, but it's kind of boring. But anyway, if you look at it, Brian came up with the right idea. It looks like a crater in a moon or something. So we're going to call this the Crater Burl Bowl. Now, I know I'm teasing you guys right now. I haven't shown you what that center looks like yet. So let me get a little more on here. So anyway, we'll come here. Here we go. Get ready for Woodturner's porn. Dun, dun, dun. I wish I had that music. Oh my goodness, look at that. Isn't that beautiful? I mean, the different variations of the wood and how deep and red this is. I think it's red mallee burl from Australia. I mean, that is some pretty incredible looking wood. So anyway, that is how you make a Crater Burl bowl. Well, until the next time on Wood Turning, keep turning.
Tim's American Beauty was made by Robust Tools, America's premier lathe manufacturer. Quality hardened tool rests and live centers too. Robust. Built to turn wood. Enjoyed for a lifetime.
Easy Wood Tools, best-in-class carbide wood turning tools.
Thompson Lathe Tools, made by a woodturner, for woodturners.